Just FYI, we don't have any audio.
There we are. How about now?
Yes.
Good. Okay, color mine. It's Thursday, August 28, 2025, and the time is meeting is being held in person. The action committee must keep their cameras and everyone who is with them except for minors in their location. I'll start off with the roll call. We have committee Vice Chair Gregory Henkel.
I'm here, alone in my room.
Kidoki. Committee member Susan Osborne.
I present and alone in my room. Mahalo.
Mahalo. And we have committee member Franny Brewer.
I am here.
And we welcome our new member, Stephanie Bath.
I'm here as well.
I don't see anybody else. I am the chair. Oops. Okay, and then we have Morishige. Thank you. I'm Chair Leilani Di Mello, and we have quorum to hold this meeting. Not presently, but absent is Kanoi Wilson, Jennifer Sheffel, and Leila Kealoha. We also have our lovely county staff, the planning department staff, Miriam Palma, Janice Hata, and Kim Tanaka. Little bit of housekeeping. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. If there's anybody here who would like to testify, please fill out one of these forms. If you have it located on the table over there. And our hosts will help you out with that. Everyone, please state your name before you speak loudly so that everybody can hear, and speak towards the owl so everyone in Zoom land can hear as well. This good. I guess I better bring my phone up for the time. I can't see that. I guess I'm finding for. Right. Just continue. Okay. The time is 5:04, and the committee will now consider approving the draft minutes from the meeting on June 26, 2025. May I ask for a motion to approve the June 26, 2025 meeting minutes as circulated?
So moved.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Okay, mahalo nui. Shucks. So we have our first and our second. It has been moved by committee member Susan Osborne.
Greg.
And then the member of Gregory Henkel to approve the draft minutes from the June 2026 meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Mahalo. Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries, and we'll be voting in favor. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's it. Motion carries. And then we are moving on to our public testimony. Time is 5:05 p.m. The committee will now call for statements from the public as stated in the published agenda. Members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called into order. If there's anyone who would like to testify, as I stated, please fill out one of these sign forms on the table and give it to our staff. we're rocking out over here. Okay, so we have at least two, but possibly more people who would like to speak. Mm, 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 mm. And I guess the first, did you want to speak? Who- Did somebody want to speak before the presentation or? Or at the beginning? Is it before or after?
So all of
Okay.
this can be. Hannah, do you want to speak now or do you want to speak about? We'll have, Hannah will give an update at, later point in the day.
Okay.
So all of us will do that. And. what is it, Patty? Okay, let us switch her. Yeah.
And where am I at?
Okay, so then now you can move on. Is there anybody on Zoom? Oh.
Okay. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to provide public testimony on agenda items? No? Okay, awesome. So. Yeah. Okay, the time is now 5:07 PM and the committee will move to agenda item number 1. That we would like to invite, Council District 4 Councilmember Ashley Kirkowicz to present on 3 proposed items. Do I need to list them or you wanna just?
Hello.
On camera.
It'll move. Can you hear me okay? All right. Hi, everyone here present in Pahoa and on Zoom. My name is Ashley Kirkowitz. I am council member for District 4. I appreciate the opportunity to connect with the Action Committee on legislation that our office has been working on for over a year now, in partnership with the county, the planning department, our revitalized Puna, Hui, and members of the community. This really grew out of some of the work that was initiated over a decade ago with the Pahoa Master Plan, which started and stopped on 3 different occasions because of the 2 volcanic eruptions that happened in Pahoa and then the COVID pandemic. And it has been a blessing in disguise, you could say, because it really forced us to evaluate with this master plan, what are we trying to achieve? And it also presented the fact that with more than 300 property owners in this particular area, there was no sort of one-size-fits-all vision for Pahoa. And there's nothing within the master plan that would obligate a property owner to actually do something. So we didn't want to set a false expectation in the community by going through the motions of a charrette and identifying what could be done in community if there was no actual financial resources or willingness by property owners to do that. And the other fact is we have many existing plans. We have the Puna CDP. Following the eruption, we have the Kilauea Recovery and Resilience Plan, the Eruption Economic Recovery Plan, and then a lot of efforts following the eruption through Revitalize Puna. So a lot of community engagement, a lot of plans, and the message has been pretty clear from community. We want to reinvigorate downtown Pahoa. We want to make it safe, walkable, vibrant. We want there to be opportunities, recreation, dining options. We want our kids to be able to walk from Pahoa from school to the downtown area safely. So we've heard the message loud and clear and didn't feel we needed to go back out into the community to ask them, well, what do you want? So with the bills that are before you, these are tools, policy solutions, tools that would empower property owners to take action on their property. So what I'm doing today is informing you of the work that has been done so far. I'm also here to solicit your feedback and then outline the plan's community outreach. They walk you through a tentative timeline of presentation to the council, where we would introduce the bills package and then formally adopt if there is a majority of council members that would like to vote for these ideas. One thing that I want to stress from the onset is what we are talking about today is a special district. This is not an improvement district. That means there's no payment, no assessment that is involved by property owners. This is a designation that creates opportunities. Again, optional tools for property owners and businesses to leverage if they wish. I also want to note that PAHOA actually has special districts. That's the PAHOA Village Design Guidelines. These were adopted over a decade ago, and this was to help keep new construction and renovations of existing buildings to have a certain aesthetic. Puna Shopping Center followed the PAHOA Village Design Guidelines, but it's to make sure that we keep this charming small town plantation era feel as part of any sort of new development or rehabilitation of existing buildings. So in the packet that has been provided to you, I'll just walk you through the three bills. And if you want to pause for questions after each bill, great. We can also just wait for questions at the end. The first bill is about creating the Special District Designation, DPC, Downtown PAHOA Commercial District. This would reinforce PAHOA's role as a regional town center, which is stated in the CDP. We would be expanding uses within the special district to include things like light industrial, agricultural processing. The Puna community feels very strongly about wanting to support agricultural endeavors, and this allows for more of that processing, light manufacturing to happen within this area. We're also proposing new definitions to the code, such as co-working spaces, creative media studios, and cultural and has been based off of working with community. As you know, earlier this year on the old Akibono Theater and Lukeen's lot, community came together to mobilize around Halehai Puna. It is a cultural marketplace where practitioners from the Puna region and island-wide are invited to showcase their craft. And this is designed to perpetuate local culture. And so it's very interesting that the code does not actually reflect the nuances of what makes Hawaii very unique. The code is very Western in nature. And so this is an attempt to better match up the reality and what people envision for themselves with the code. In sharing these definitions with our legislative research branch, they review all of our bills before they are introduced to council. I think I had 8 or 9 different uses that I wanted to add. Things like creative workforce live workspaces. We have the creative media production, health and wellness, artisan manufacturing, recycling and upcycling centers. And their feedback was, you don't need to be so explicit. These ideas already exist in one shape or form within the list of permitted uses for commercial village. And so it's a conversation we need to have. Do we want to be very explicit about the kinds of industries and sectors we want to see in PAHOA? Because I really do think that there's something about being explicit so that there's an expectation set in community, and that is the kinds of development we will be attracting. So I'm for being a bit more specific about what we want to add to the code. Right now, the bulk of downtown PAHOA is zoned commercial village. We're not replacing any of those uses. With this special district, we're actually adding onto it. So the new definitions that I mentioned and some light industrial, like agricultural processing and light manufacturing. What's being proposed does align with the CDP's economic vision. Downtown PAHOA would not be the first special commercial district. Downtown Hilo was already established as a commercial district, I believe in the 60s or 70s. And Kailua Kona is actually two things. It is it is an improvement district. It's the only business improvement district on the island. That's where property owners pay a small assessment as part of their real property tax bill every year. I think they generate over $1 million. And that money is used for landscaping, security. There's a citizen body that actually has control over how the funds are spent. But Paho always talks about no new taxes. So we're not going to be exploring a business improvement district unless that is something the community really would like to see and explore. 66% of property owners in the business improvement district area must opt in. So you must opt in. If the county doesn't hear from you, that counts as a no vote. But that's not what we're doing here. I just wanted to illustrate that Kailua Kona has a business improvement district and a special district. Their special district is like ours, design guidelines. So that is bill number 1, creating this special district designation. Bill number 2 is district reclassification. That is a rezoning. So we've gone over the last year back and forth around where we would want the boundaries for the special district to be. We've landed on, again, this is food for thought. I'll talk a little bit about the outreach that we're doing with community in a second, but the idea is to go from Post Office Road, now properties along Pahoa Village Road, all the way down to Akeakamai Loop where Jan's Barber is. And the idea was because it's a downtown Pahoa commercial. The reason why I bring this up is you have Puna, which can be considered New Pahoa. Downtown is like Old Pahoa. There's also Midtown. The Pahoa Lava Zone Museum relocated from the annex at Kaleo's to a property along Pahoa Village Road. And folks have expressed a desire to wanting to do more on the property. So I bring it up as food for thought. Right now, the district would be properties fronting Pahoa Village Road between Akeakamai Loop where Jan's Barber is, or Paul's Place, and then all the way to Post Office Road. It makes the most sense because that is where we are looking to centralize commercial activities. Now, what's the value of having the special districts? We would remove a parking requirement. And that is because when you look at Pahoa right now, it's very limited in terms of what you can do and where it can be placed. And I do think that we can be more collaborative as a community and county to open up the parking lot here at the community center neighborhood facility. It's not used very much during the day. And so I think there can be a formal agreement that is made between Parks and Recreation and either Main Street for their employees and patrons. There can be signage that is placed intentionally in the so that's one thing that the special district bill would do, was it wouldn't require parking, and then it also would not require a front or like a backyard. We commercial special district for downtown Hilo and modeled a lot of those benefits, those zoning requirements accordingly. Now for Bill 2 with the district reclassification, again, we're still discussing the actual boundary for where the special district will apply. We have sent out mailers to property owners from Puna through Paul's Place so that everyone is aware of what is being proposed while they can. We want to make sure that as folks think about, hey, I could be living in my house today But this could be a really cool opportunity for my kids, my mo'opuna, to one day maybe utilize this house and turn it into some kind of business. We want to give folks that opportunity if that is something that they want to do, to keep the property in the family, but also find another way to build generational wealth. We just want to give folks options. What our corporation counsel, that is our legal advisor, is doing right now is letting us know for the rezoning if it is an opt-in process or if the county is able to do the rezone and folks opt out. I want to stress that with this whole endeavor, nothing is being taken away from a property owner. We are providing more opportunities through additional permitted uses. They are under no obligation to actually do anything different. Their property taxes do not change. You're assessed based on what you are doing on your property. So vacant land will be assessed at a different rate versus land with a home or a business on it, right? It really depends on what you are doing. So nothing changes in terms of one's real property taxes. I'll also note that commercial is lower than residential, but it's a higher value proposition. So that's why the assessments are higher, because you're doing something useful with a commercial component to it. So I just want to put out there that no one's being forced to take advantage of the additional uses. They're there if you want it, and nothing changes to your real property tax rates. Like anything, if you do any improvements to your property, that's when values change. Okay. The third bill in the package has to do with existing code. The special district that I talked to you guys about earlier, the Pahoa Village Design Guidelines. These were adopted over 10 years ago in 2013. And there is a design review committee that is formed. It's not like a board or commission or an action committee where the mayor appoints and the council confirms. It's a very official informal body. And to this date, like 3 planning directors have not been able to tell me who exactly is on the body. I think in years past, there was a lot more involvement from like the Main Street Pahoa Association. And so they were kind of like the principal like conveners of this group. But over time, you know, life happens, people get older, move on, they pass along. And so it hasn't been very clear who's still part of this committee. And this committee is charged with reviewing proposed developments in terms of what are they going to look like? How is it going to fit into our town's aesthetic in the same way that Puna did? The review committee, the design guidelines review committee at the time, did review and provide their recommendation to the planning department on the Puna development, how it looks, not the development itself, but its aesthetic. I want to be very clear about that. It's just about design. So what our office is proposing is keep it informal. But in order for the community and planning to know who is part of the design review committee, we are suggesting that they share their intent and their desire to serve with the action committee. And every 2 years, this body, because representative and of direct, line with community, you review every 2 years these applications and decide who will be serving. Session will be discussed publicly, transparently, and everyone will know who is on this committee. And then that information would be added to the planning department's website. That way, anyone looking to build here within the boundary of where the village guidelines apply, it's much more extensive than the special district. It's Puna all the way down to the school. And it's not limited to properties that are directly abutting against Pahoa Village Road. It's much more expansive than that. It's in the county code exactly what that looks like. But we thought this process would just provide a little bit more clarity and better connects the action committee with this, guideline review committee. So that's what's being proposed. The code also note that every 10 years, the guidelines should be reviewed and updated. And this Kuleana rests with the this discussion has ever been agendized by the action committee. So I'm bringing it to you so that there is awareness and to also offer our office's support in review and also update of the document. We've looked at various design guidelines across the state. One that really catches our eye is the Waikiki design guidelines. I'm not in love with Waikiki, but I love their design guidelines. It's very practical. They showcase what they mean in terms of when we say design like this is how you should do it. So I think from like a toolkits perspective, they do a really excellent job in showing, property owners how to go about implementing ideas. And so we're happy to help kind of modernize this document if that's something that you would like us to support you with. A few things that are not in the draft bills that are before you, but I did want to offer as food for thought and for tonight's discussion include supports and incentives. So right now, various communities around Hawaii Island, I think except Waimea, are in enterprise zones. There are certain things that count as an activity that would qualify for a real property tax holiday. So things like manufacturing, agricultural enterprises, nothing retail related, but I highlight those two ideas because they're contained within the special district. If someone goes about those kinds of activities, they would be 100% exempt from GET for 7 years. There would also be adjustments to the state income tax credit over a 7-year period as well. And then what the county does is that real property tax holiday I mentioned for 3 years. So that is something that I would like to find a way to share within the special districts bill so that all the levers are there. So you see the uses that you can have on your property, but you can also see what kind of support, financial support, tax incentives, tax breaks are available to help make the decision on whether or not it's feasible to do something on your property. The other thing that we are getting Corporation Council guidance on is related to HRS 46-88. And it talks about agricultural buildings and structures being exempt from building permits and building code requirements. Holy crap, yeah. Pretty cool, right? This would essentially save folks a lot of time by not having to go through the county's permitting process. There is a list, like a laundry list of what is allowed and recognized as a structure. So the framework is there on the state side. I've asked Corporation Council to review that to see what is applicable if we are able to move forward with the special district, and how do we highlight some of those opportunities in the code so people know these are the cards that I have available, right? Like these are the ingredients for a recipe. The last thing that is, I think, like one of the most exciting is the accommodations tax. So prior to the state taking it away from us, I believe at that point we were getting somewhere between $16 and $19 million. And then they restructured how the counties county be a 3% tax on your end. So we begrudgingly agreed, right? So we did. That pool of money last year, I believe, brought in about $33 million. So this new way has resulted in actually more money. It is not specifically programmed for a particular initiative or whatever within the county. It goes all to the general fund. And I think that because the downtown centers are economic centers, they are where tourists are attracted to visit, there is a next for fund using a portion of the transient accommodations tax. I think this is how we can support our small businesses in upgrading some of their buildings. And it could be a way where we are able to install decent sidewalks for Pahoa, do more landscaping. So within the code, we can create this fund that is accessible to any downtown that is a special district. So Pahoa would benefit, downtown Hilo, and even Kailua Kona, but they already have business improvement district. We don't want them to be greedy. So there's money to go around, but I always think about, if we're serious about supporting our small businesses and keeping our towns alive, we have to do more than just legislation. Like, there has to be actual resources that are available to small businesses, to property owners, to that vision that is in our CDP. So I offer those ideas, would love your feedback on them so that our office can start drafting. Timing on this. So today we're socializing these ideas for the first time outside of our planning hui, with the community at large and the action committee. We've put mailers out and we are inviting property owners and residents along Pahoa Village Road from Puna Kai to Sacred Hearts Church to join us on Wednesday, September 10th here at the community center from 9 to 10:30. And then on Zoom from 12 to 1, where I will walk through the exact same presentation that I've given you today so that folks understand what's being proposed, what the options are, and to be available to answer any questions that they might have. We are looking to meet the next filing deadline of Friday, September 19th, which would allow us to actually introduce this bill at council on Tuesday, October 7th. The committee is necessary for us to then take this bill and refer it to the Windward Planning Commission and the Planning Department for their review and recommendation. Because this is an update to Chapter 25, that is the zoning code, we are required to send it to our Planning Commission and Planning Department for their mana'o. Because we've worked with the planning department on this bill and so many other departments and corporation council, we expect a favorable recommendation. That's the benefit of working with county departments from the onset, is they help you problem solve and we arrive at a solution that everyone can live with and it's completely informed. So planning department and commissions will meet, they'll send their recommendations back to the council committee. We would expect that by January or February of next year. Once the committee has deliberated, we pass it out of committee and onto council. And before any of this can become law, it requires 2 readings at council. So there's a potential before summer of next year that this becomes law. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions or comments that you folks might have. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity to bring this to all of you and to solicit your mana'o, because it's really important. It's an important touch point because you represent community. Thank you.
You were, yeah.
I don't think that's not allowed, but thank you. You have to refer it to the chair.
Okay, who is the chair? You're the chair?
Thank you.
Okay.
But I think that committee.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Hi.
This is really exciting.
Thank you.
You referred to HRS 46. I didn't get the second part.
Sure. 4688. That has to do with exemptions for agricultural buildings and structures from building permit and building code. Yes, that's correct.
And then the second thing is, how will this affect home occupancy businesses? So people wouldn't need to go for home occupancy businesses anymore if they were in this area or this district?
So right now, if you have a home-based business, you would have to go through a special permit.
Right.
I don't want to misspeak. I am going to get planning director's comments on that. I don't, because so much of Town right now is commercial village. There are a handful of properties that are residential. I believe those residential properties do have to go get a special permit if they're doing a home-based occupation. But if they opt into a special district, I'm going to assume, but again, I want to just double check, and this is a great FAQ that we can add to our website, because it's a listed permitted use. It's something that they would be able to do without having to go through that permitting process, but I will clarify that for you. Thank you. Excellent question.
I just wanted to, sorry. So you had said we're going to try and put this bill through, but as it stands, there's 3 here. And then it sounded like there was 3 more that you're thinking about doing possibly.
So great question. These 3 at the same time as a package.
Okay.
Bill 1 and 2, creating the district and the rezone, are actually complementary.
Okay.
So in 1, we're establishing the district, and then in 2, we're saying this is the district boundary. So we actually need both. And because we're making changes to that section, we wanted to take the opportunity to clean up language that isn't clear in the code right now regarding Pahoa's only special district, the guidelines. The 3 ideas that I offered, enterprise zone, 4688, and the revitalization fund, the first 2 ideas, I believe, can be integrated into the first bill before you, the special district, because that's what's going to make the special district unique. The revitalization fund would be a separate bill because that would be something that I don't think would be in zoning. I don't even think it'll be in chapter 19. I would have to connect with probably because that's where a lot of our special funds are listed right now. But there would be a separate bill vehicle to establish the revitalization fund. One thing that I didn't mention was there was like a pre-bill that has already kind of gone through the council and planning and the commissions to set all of this stuff up. That's why it's been taking so long. We had to make an adjustment to the meets and bounds section of chapter 25. So when the Pahoa Village Design Guidelines, Downtown Hilo, Kailua Kona, when those special districts were set up, meets and bounds were not a requirement. These are like very expensive, highly technical, latitudinal, longitudinal type reports that are required for rezones and whatnot. But when I looked at the other special districts, they didn't use meets and bounds. They used a description, street names, landmarks, which makes sense. And so I put that bill forward looking for parity in the law. I felt that if other communities establish their special districts this way, Pahoa should not be discriminated against. So this provides parity. And where you need to have a meets and bounds type map, that is required. So the bill that we put forward allows us to introduce these bills as is. It gives the planning director the discretion to say meets and bounds aren't required. An alternative map or description can be used in its place. So some of the work has already been done. I know that's a little bit more than you asked for, but I forgot to kind of mention that a lot of this work has already started.
Before I go to the community, we do have one other committee member. I'd like to recognize Susie, if you have a question.
Okay, mahalo. Thank you, Ashley, for your thoughtful, visionary and creative leadership with this. I know what it has taken you to do this and all the collaboration with the different agencies. So thank you so much. So 2 things. One, I'm just wondering if we should or could agendize the design guidelines for our next meeting and possibly have you come back and provide us with the Waikiki stuff, information for us to deliberate on and take care of our kuleana with that. So that would be a request to Chair Leilani. And then the other, Ashley, is it beneficial for this body to provide a letter of support I'm not sure if to the Windward Planning Commission or the county or both. And could you give us some guidance on what about that, if that would be of benefit for us to provide a letter of support?
It would, yeah, thank you, Susie. To your first question about the design guidelines, our office is happy to come back and, do a short presentation on that in partnership with the planning department and just show you some of the research we've done for what other communities have for design guidelines, just so you see what's possible and we can figure out the direction we want to take PAHOA's guidelines into. I think it would be extremely beneficial for the action committee to provide a letter of support. I would need for the bills to be filed first, so there's a bill number. I don't think that it's necessary for the committee to act by October 7th because the council committee is not reviewing yet. I do think it's important to pay attention to when this is agendized for planning commission and then goes back to council. I think the touch points, it would be very appropriate for the AC to submit a letter of support if that is something that this body would like to do.
I'd be willing to take the lead on that if that is helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite the public to.
Thank you. I have two questions regarding your presentation, comments. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Thank you, Stephanie. No, just so that I'm heard on Zoom. Okay. Okay, in no particular order. I mentioned, Dan, your city. However, I'm thinking if on the perimeter of your special district, if you did do meets and bounds, that may be beneficial for the property owners who are on the extreme boundaries. So you don't have somebody who's got like 10 feet into it going, oh, I get to do a commercial enterprise with no taxes or whatever, So to prevent future disharmony, basically, to have the perimeter, at least to the special district, designated with, good quality surveying, meets and bounds, so that it's clear, so as people don't go, oh, well, mine's 2 feet over, I can see by the palm tree. I'm just saying for preventing future, humbug down the way.
I don't have the map on me, but
Okay, but I've got like 5 things, and
you want me to wait? Okay.
yes, please. Okay, so the special districts, you said, on one hand, you said it was everything but not Waimea, but then you also said it was only a portion of Hilo, downtown Hilo, Pahoa, and Kailua Kona. So you're talking about special districts being only in these downtown areas for this particular type of development, and not as far as like Volcano Community Center or anything else that could be extrapolated out. Is that correct? That's my understanding. I want to make sure I got that. And as far as I reviewed the Puna developmental plan, I didn't see this particular bills that you're talking about, but relating to what you're saying, the landscaping, as you're assessing it in the Pahoa Village, I just wanted to confirm that I would love to see included native food, traditional use trees and plants, green tea, that sort of thing, things that are contributing to the climate by providing oxygen and also food sources, traditional uses. I know the county has been cutting down a lot of trees, whether it's the mango trees on the Keao Pahoa Highway, or the Keao Community Center had an ulu tree, mango, and avocado tree that a lot of seniors were using for extra supplementing their diets, and the county cut them all down. So I wanted to affirm that, especially as we seem to be moving into these little more challenging times on many levels, that the more sustainability, the more consideration for our just wanted to planning for saying there was originally a residential tiny home village in Pahoa, down near Sacred Hearts around the time of the 2018 eruption. And I think that might, perhaps along the line of what they've been doing in New Mexico, so that the people who are more economically challenged are embraced and included, instead of being ostracized as scum of the earth, basically. So I appreciate your input on that. Thank you.
Can I please get you to state your name?
I'm sorry, I'm RJ Parker. I
Thank you.
put it on the, do
No,
you
for our
want?
rep, for everybody to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. RJ Parker. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, RJ, for your very great questions. I don't have one on me, but there was a map. So it's not a meets and bounds map, but this, I'll right there. It identifies the TMK, the properties through a very thick boundary line of what would be included in the special district. So there's no way that we would have 2 feet of someone's property in the boundary line. It's very clearly highlighted what's in and what's not. So that's not a meets and bounds, a technical map the planning department often uses for ordinances that they bring forward to the council. We would present a similar map and also identify the TMKs. So we're crystal clear about which properties are included, just so that nobody can say, hey, I want it in or I didn't want in. Yes, absolutely. Yes. You brought up Waimea and then you brought up volcanoes. I want to clarify something that I mentioned. When I talked about enterprise zone, not special district, when I talked about enterprise zone, I shared that almost every community around Hawaii Island is an enterprise zone except Waimea. So that means these communities, not Waimea, take advantage of the tax breaks, tax holidays, if they are doing certain developments. Retail does not qualify. I highlighted things that could qualify for PAHOA, such as agricultural processing, wholesaling, manufacturing. There are other things like biotechnology, a bunch of stuff that I just didn't understand that didn't feel like appropriate for PAHOA anyway. But there's a bunch of things that are activities that are being encouraged in enterprise zones. When I mentioned that Hilo and Spahoa and Kona have special districts, you have to initiate a special district. You cannot just say, okay, Volcano, I want you to be a special district. You have to go through the process legislatively that I am going through. So I invite you to call upon your council member to explore this with you if it's something that is of interest, but it has to be initiated by a council member because we're the legislative body. You talked about plants. I don't believe that the zoning code is the appropriate place to talk about urban forestry. There's another section of code that we might want to consider where we talk about, for at least county properties, let's plant native. And it's actually an ordinance I have been working on. It's inspired by some of the recent legislation that was adopted in the city and county of Honolulu. I just think that we would benefit by having more trees, and if we can plant more native, it's everything better with watershed and everything. So it's definitely top of mind, but not something that we can include in this suite of bills because this has to do with permitted uses and zoning. And then on the tiny homes, question that you had, there are homes that were built, emergency homes during the eruption. More homes were built behind them. There was a blessing a couple of years ago where Kupuna were able to transition out of homelessness and have stable housing. That is a project that is managed by Hope Services Hawaii with support from the Catholic Church. I don't know if they have ideas to expand more of those housing opportunities. I don't know if they're 100% occupied at the moment, but those opportunities do exist. And our office has helped a few kupuna who were homeless or at risk of becoming homeless transition to safe and stable housing. I agree with you. We have to make sure that our kupuna especially are being able to live out their years in dignity and have that stable shelter and the wraparound support services that those homes do provide. Thank you. I think those were all your questions. Okay, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. I'd like to call David. Eden?
Yes, first I want to thank Ashley. I don't know if you guys can hear me, for all your knowledge and all the work that you do. Thank you so very much. Just a question just appeared when that went on the wall, and thank you for put that up. What's the difference between the white areas and the tan areas? And the reason I ask is, I mean, if I'm reading this correctly, this is the former Keens, and this is the area behind it, correct? This is the corner with Jan's Barbershop. And then why are these 6 a different color?
They're current zoning.
Oh, okay, single family. Okay,
Area. So every property owner in there would be getting a letter saying this is what we're proposing.
okay, so then it would become commercial. Got that answered. Okay, or they could potentially apply for.
Good question.
Okay.
Quick question on that, Ashley. So if this goes through, these people have the chance to opt in. Some people may not opt in, or that's likely the direction, or it's going to go one way or the other. People have a chance to opt out. Or
Not, yeah, bar.
will they, let's say whoever is the current owner opts out or chooses not to opt in, when the property changes ownership, do they get another opportunity, or is that permanently assigned to that property?
A property owner can initiate a rezone to the downtown Pahoa commercial district if they opt out. They would have to go through the process of rezoning. I believe there's an application fee. I think it's $500. I'm not sure. So there's a fee. There's also filling out the application. There's a lot of like technical requirements in order to initiate the rezone. The county is essentially providing a gift with this opportunity. And what we're still trying to ascertain from Corporation Counsel is, do they need to opt in the same way that a property owner opts into participating in a business improvement district? Or does the county have the authority to rezone and then with proper notice, give property owners a window to opt out? So like you're automatically included unless you don't want to be. I hope that's helpful.
Does Ashley or anyone know of the possibly expanded new district? How many properties are there actually? I'm counting just quickly about 30 is what I'm seeing with the broad lines. I'm not counting very well all the way from over here because I'm a senior. I mean, I'm just curious.
We sent out 47 mailers. And that is likely going to increase because we are extending this all the way to Puna because we want to give like Midtown, Newtown, Pahoa an opportunity to understand what's being proposed and to see if this is something they want to be included in. Midtown is, yeah, like from Post Office Road to Lava Zone Museum and then gradually getting towards Newtown. Yeah. Newtown, Puna. Newtown is Puna. Yeah. Like that's New Pahoa. I don't know. Like this is something I came up with. So if you guys have a better idea of explaining it, I'm open to your ideas. And Old Town is not bad. We love Old Town Pahoa.
I just, and again, forgive me for my ignorance, because I should know more of these things. But when you talk about development and bringing in new developers that might be attracted to this or current landowners, could a developer buy up all the shops on Main Street and knock them all down? Is that an option for a developer? Do you see what I'm saying? Because with only 42, there's not much that if they're being held as historical, which I thought they are not. So they could be just leveled. So then new developers could come in and expand and make new buildings, and we don't have to stand them up. I mean, I'm not doing this. I just want to understand the possibilities. So nothing's preserved in downtown Pahoa. Absolutely nothing.
So none of the properties in Pahoa are part of like a historical registry. Theoretically, your question is, could somebody come in and buy every single one of these properties in downtown Pahoa? It's highly unlikely, but in the event that someone is very interested and came in and did that, yeah, they're the property owner. They could do what they want. You could think about, I haven't looked at the guidelines in a while, but you could have in your guidelines some stipulations about preservation. So you could use the guidelines as a tool, but they're just that, they're guidelines. You might want to consider of thinking of preserve and what you might be willing to let go. Some of the concerns that I have right now about upgrading any of these older commercial buildings, because these are like old style buildings, getting them up to code is impossible. You don't have the development envelope to be able to accommodate all that stuff. That's why I bring up 4688. And if there's a nexus to agriculture, how do we keep our town alive through these creative strategies? I'm sorry, what's that? So I don't want Pahoa to become a historic district because it would mean that any kind of development that you do, it would have to honor these current buildings. And sometimes they even make you go and like source original materials down to like the same kind handle that was made in 1920. Go find the same handle, which the manufacturer might not be around. So it's something that we looked at, but we thought, we don't think our community has the capital to do something like that. So the design guidelines are the tool for preservation. But to your point, somebody could come in, buy it all up and start anew. And yeah.
And the sad burning of it. The rumor mill is he can only build the exact same building back according to the current codes. And that's why it's that beautiful lot, our flagship McKean's restaurant, if anyone knows it, years ago. That was the cornerstone of this village.
Cannot hear.
And the Oculus. Well, they were but
I'll repeat for you, Susie.
what's that?
Susie, so the question that Aiden had was, there's a rumor that the Lukine's restaurant and Akibono Theater that burnt down, that the property owners can only build exactly what was there. Whatever zoning you have, that comes with a list of things that you can do on your property. So anything listed as a permitted use for that zoning, theater is one of I can share with you that Sal and Kristen Lukine have an with community partners to keep community connection and gathering alive through a different venue, Hale Halavai o Puna, the cultural makeke, where there can be cultural practices. I know that envision building some kind of like air hale so that you can do community event. You can do night markets similar to what they do in downtown Hilo on Fridays, and just kind of like reimagine, but still be in alignment with what the theater and the restaurant were, which were these community gathering places. I can't speak for the owners, but I can clarify for you that whatever there's a list of permitted uses. They can build any one of those things. You're welcome.
I just wanted to, I was reflecting on the possibilities of the what ifs for Pahoa. And for those that have been here for a while, remember what KL used to look like in the good old days compared to what it is now? And so that's what came to my mind having something, I mean, this is a bigger picture, having something to preserve. Now, I'm aware that those homes or those buildings and offices downtown KL were being held up by rat doo-doo and termites. However, it's a shame. It's a shame. And we certainly don't want that to happen again.
I just wanna say-
Zola'a.
I just want to say we'll get more community voices and then I'll go to the Zoom. I'll ask the Zoom.
Hi, Hanny Hedrick and Fern Force, and I'm going to be talking about hub and spoke. And is it still going on in Pahoa? But I'm just wondering, based on these other questions related to Pahoa, are there still any plans to have that hub and spoke with the library? Haven't seen anything about it. We had many planning meetings related to that, and it definitely affected real estate with 9 different options and so forth. Don't need to answer that now. Yeah.
I'll answer you right now. So there's been leadership changeover again at our mass transit agency. I know it's so hard to find and keep good people. But the work to build the co-located library and Pahoa bus hub are it just takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of like planning and designs and engineering. But the county, like I put in a CIP budget amendment to make sure that when the time comes, we're leveraging bonds to make it happen, and that the state, like it's great that we're working with the state because we can pool our resources together, which makes building the project more feasible. But like it's actually going to become reality because we're not both building in 2 different locations. We're co-locating, taking advantage of our resources. So it's, more likely to happen.
That's it. Okay. Do we have anybody on Zoom who would like to speak at this time? Okay. Thank you, Ashley, for all of your answers and for presenting to us. Yeah. The time is 6:03 p.m. The Yep. The committee will now call for statements from the public regarding items that are not on the agenda. Public testimony may be limited to 3 minutes in length per agenda item. If there's anyone here who would like to testify, yeah, you've already filled this out, but if you haven't, there's forms on the table.
I just on that. Okay, yeah, we can go ahead and just, Patty, if you want us to give an update on connectivity, and then we'll move on to anything else that Patty had touched.
Aloha,
Aloha.
Action Committee members, planning staff. I'm here talking
Cullum,
for my
please
role,
state your name.
Patty Pinto,
clearly.
working in the community for my other kuleana, but I am also a member of the planning staff of the county. The planning staff had the opportunity to meet a week ago with Neil Azevedo, the acting director of Department of Public Works, and his staff. And it was a joyful meeting. He had been sent all of our connectivity data in advance, and he said, why can't we go ahead and start some of these? So, and his staff is fantastic. They were great. They had the GIS mapping just responsive to everything we talked about. So it just felt amazing. So we're going to start with the Fern Forest Eden Rock connectivity location number 1. The Puhala extension, bringing Fern Acres Road over to Kopua. And then over at the top of Hawaiian Acres, a yet to be determined route to connect the top of Hawaiian Acres over to Ola'a Road. So basically, we're starting at the top with these 3 connectivity points because they connect county roads and it's doable. This is going to give 4, 5 subdivisions additional access to the highway that they have not had before. So it's a really huge change. And Neil is a real let's get things done kind of guy. And I think that this time we're winning. So joy. And then I wanted to make a short comment on the Pahoa Village Design Guidelines. This was born in this committee. The Pahoa Master Plan was the subcommittee of the Action Committee. And all the work that created the design guidelines, and you should look at them. They're lovely. They look quaint, but they're really quite good. And it came from this committee. And we've had the time and experience to grow into what we really need to be doing, but congratulations, that work is getting done too. And I had one other thing I wanted to comment on, and that is meeting of the council. And what this bill will do is make it possible for property owners in the subdivisions to deduct their road fees from their property taxes. This has an excellent chance to pass. And this will cover people who live in the substandard subdivisions who have a community association that collects road fees and maintains their roads with private money for communities that have no gates and no hindrance to access. And they have to have a homeowner exemption for that property. So any other kind of property title would not qualify for this. And then there will be ways that we collect the data, and then in the following year, that amount could be removed from the top of your property tax. So it's really exciting that this change, because these subdivisions have been paying taxes for 60, 70 years, and not one dime of that property tax money has ever gone to maintain a subdivision road. Fuel tax revenues also are collected for all the miles we drive on those roads, and not one dime of that money has ever gone for subdivision roads. So this is something that can help the county to begin to address the very dire emergency that some of these roads are in their current condition, and bring up public safety, and do so in a way without accepting any ownership or liability for these roads. So that's easier for everybody. So thank you.
For her, for being her and for enduring and just keeping it together. Abby, thank you.
And I'd like to compliment Stephanie Bath for working on the steering committee in 2006 and identifying these issues that we're now taking forward steps on today. We were involved, and I wasn't on the action committee, but I attended almost all the meetings and more working group meetings and so forth. So I'm sorry, I'm Hannah Hedrick from Fern Forest. And my primary focus with regard to connectivity is Puna inter-subdivision connectivity. In case you all don't have it, this is from the Mayor's Committee meeting 3 or 4, and it identifies those 6 community connectivity locations that we were talking about in case anyone wants to take a picture of it. Priority number 1 costs $25,000. And I'm in real trouble with my road board because I keep saying that road exists. It's a 60-foot road on both sides in Fern Forest and Eden Rock, and you can see that the road is there. But unfortunately, here's my big concern. Actually, did I turn it off? No. And actually, we had a Puna Malka Emergency Response and Preparedness meeting July 5, and we had representatives from different subdivisions come, and Janae Capella came, and Talmadge came, and there was a lot of enthusiasm for this, and yet the road board where I live is very unhappy with me for promoting this. So asking you to take into consideration the fact that there might be opposition to this, and I'm asking the PCDAP to please stay involved. We, at one point, when we got that $11 million, we thought everything was going to be over and congratulated ourselves. But I'm asking you to continue to play a proactive and visible leadership role, so that if there is a way that you can get on the record as being supportive of this, to do it now and to do it often. And if you can include in your annual report, if you still do an annual report, your support. It has been very difficult for me to educate my road board. They won't even read RJ Parker's testimony at the July 5 meeting. They won't accept anything really that anyone says about the history. They just said, oh, are you going to ram it down our throats? And, oh, we'll do a survey and we'll see if Fern Forest landowners agree to this. We've had opportunities to have these discussions. The invitations have gone out. Not just Puna Community Development Action Committee. You're not the only ones. Hazard mitigation has a pro-connectivity element. Of course, the general plan has pro-connectivity. So it's every place. But people are continuing to say, I don't want the noise. It will increase, criminality. I have kids and I live on that road. Anyway, I'm asking you to please stay involved. Thank you for all of your support, but please stay involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And anyone want a picture of this?
I'm following Hannah because part of what I want to say has to do with connectivity. I'm RJ Parker. Boy, this is warm. Okay, I think I'll move over a little bit. Am I still on camera? Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Where to start? Well, it's the joy of being ADHD. Okay. If you will indulge me, I'm going to read what I shared with Hannah, and I believe she posted on Facebook about the connectivity from the July 5th meeting. I'll just run through that real quick so we're all on the same page. Excuse me? I know. So that's why I asked if somebody can tell me, when I've got 2 minutes left, 1 minute, because I am time blind with ADHD. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. So this is my overview. I'm not licensed to practice law in Hawaii, so this is just my own thoughts. All right. The USGS 2017 lava inundation projections map shows possible flow from Mauna Loa coming down above Hirano store following a highway to Keau. And that 2017 report supersedes the 2002, which some people commonly use. On page 8 of that lava inundation map, and I have the page here if you guys want to see it or reference it. Let's see, says scenario 2, if a fissure erupts a sufficient volume of lava on the south side of the rift zone axis, it may flow towards Kilauea and other areas to the southeast. The inundations shows that State Route 11, as well as Forest and the Figure 5 legend also states from page 8 that flows on the southern side may flow towards Kilauea to eventually reach State Route 11. In that happenstance, communities from Volcano National Park to below Mountain View would be isolated. Eden Rock and Kopua farm lots have only one exit, which I believe is not in compliance with the original subdivision requirements of 2 ingress-egress roads, but they on Kopua, South Kopua is their only way of accessing the highway, and if the highway is cut off, again, we have no back out ingress egress emergency access. This different subdividers for Fern Forest, Eden Rock, Kopua Farm Lot didn't participate that much, down to Fern Acres does show a connection roadway running through all those. And then from Kopua Farm Lots through the end of South Kopua to Fern Acres is the old Hawaiian Trail. So it does connect. Excuse me?
1 minute.
Okay. 1 minute remaining? Okay. Well, bear with me. All right. Okay, so I'm just advocating that without making that connectivity, you could have, we're risking death, serious injury, possible liability on all different levels. And I suggest the county bulldoze through anybody who's basically pig-headed. And, you know, and then they'll one-time free, and thereafter, if they don't, they'll charge at county rates. So that's my connectivity. And then beyond that, relating to the Puna development van, I have numerous sections. Okay, again, as I mentioned to Ashley, to affirm trees, native things not to, that was not. Okay. Energy and sustainability 3.6, ORMAT, geothermal. I had a friend that used and they're owned by the Israelis, and they had all this leftover drilling oil from spent oil. And he's like, where do you put it? And he said, put it back in the ground, put it back in the hole. Instead, follow Kauai's lead and have solar. We have all these wonderful, thanks to Madame Pele, wonderful or not, but lava flats would be perfect for solar. And then the state has been discussing nuclear options, and us probably the largest. We would probably, if we were going to have a nuclear power plant for energy, we'd do it on the Big Island because who cares, right? No. If you look at Fukushima, and we have earthquakes like Fukushima, it's a risk. Also, you need to cool the nuclear with the water, which we'll be using our oceans. And part of the reason, that we have reduced impact from hurricane is because of the cool water around the island. So you start heating up the water and heating it, then you get hurricanes approaching us and, let's just accelerate. So I'm just looking at the big picture, all the more reason for us. Okay. Let's see, roadway network. Okay, I touched on that. Encouraging village structure, whether the connectivity or in this community center, shared ags. And I'm saying we need more sustainability, cooperation. And one last story. In 1978, I was talking to my grandma's friend in Kona, and she had been on this island in World War II. She said during World War II, everything went to the war effort. Accordingly, one ship a week came to this island. It came to Kauai. And she said people in Kona were eating halikoa, which the cat was brought in for a cattle feed, and the cattle don't even like it. So we have a lot more people and a lot less ag. So I just want to put that out there. Whenever possible, I'm sharing keikis and sustainability with everybody, and I want to encourage everybody to, and then the county to not be cutting down breadfruit trees and that sort of thing, and mangoes as much as possible. Thank you. I think I'm probably at my time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. I've got numerous sites in here about the 60-foot roadway. How in fact, if you look at the, because I actually live on Punahele, I went to my deed and I looked, and it's part of the roadway for Eden Rock. It shows certain particular areas that were roadway lots by the subdivider, and roadway lots and shared in common with everybody else. And I'm thinking maybe the county could do eminent domain in that one little stub out between Eden Rock and Fern Forest, and then just take it on, since our taxes go to it, as was put down. And so anyway, if you want to make copies of that, it references more about why we should do it, as well as the lava zone map on the back. Thank you.
Planning will take RJ's papers, we'll scan it and we'll send it to the committee and we'll update the meeting packet with this. Is that okay? Okay, if there's other, I think we'll.
Yeah, you need to prove the area above the empty slot, and then you have that a driving range, because with ours you have to walk with a helo, and we have a 9-hole golf course like we do in Japan or all over the places in Honolulu. Yeah, be easy. I've only been here since 1939. I know. I live in Paho all my life, so you want to learn anything about Paho? Let me know. Ask me, I'll tell you about it.
Name?
I graduated Power School 1957. I worked for the airlines. Aloha Airlines, 6 years. George Salazar. Huh? George Salazar. My wife used to teach for school many years. You get like that. See?
Oh.
I'll show you my.
I don't want to misspell it.
I show you. Yeah.
Oh, you got. Oh. Okay, let's.
Date birth.
We go on to new business now. So this is a moment for committee members to bring up anything. Clarifying, you guys don't have to vote on agenda Huh? Better? Okay, clarifying that the committee doesn't need to vote on proposing new agenda items or anything like that. This is just a space on the agenda to bring up this. I would like to start off by acknowledging, and she submitted a letter to us this morning that she drafted. While the letter is addressed to planning director, it is regarding the development patterns that the community is seeing within HPP in Hawaiian Paradise Park.
Who submitted the letter? You dropped off.
How about now? Okay.
Marty did.
Okay, so Marty drafted this letter and submitted it to us. Janice will throw it onto the screen share, and we will share this out with the committee as a whole. But she kind of goes through requesting of planning director some information regarding some development patterns that the community is seeing within Hawaiian Paradise Park. And at a previous meeting, you guys also confirmed that across Puna in general. So within this letter, there's a lot of things, but the general gist of it, and Marty, please clarify to me, is you're wanting copies of written communications from Mr. Max Beerhens, I don't know how to say his name, Behrens, and his corporations so I'm just going to read it. Please send our committee a copy of your written communications with Mr. Max Behrens and his numerous LLC corporations in the same manner you send a letter of follow-up to the residents who submitted formal complaints to your office. The committee would also like to receive a notice of the above mentioned violation, the amount of the violation fine, and when Mr. Beerhen has pays his violation fine. Our committee wants to support Puna residents who have brought these issues to our attention and make sure their concerns are fairly dealt with. And mind you, there's like 3 paragraphs before this. I'm just the conclusion. So I was clarified with Marty before that had we gotten this in more note earlier, we could actually get you this information. These specific, I believe there's been a lot of conversations happening between the director and other individuals in the community. How's that? Sorry. Yeah, I gotta keep it close. There's some misinformation going around, but there's also just a lack of information that's being shared. So this is something that we didn't put on the agenda because we have a lot of background work before there's anything for the committee to actually make a decision on, because what Marty is requesting in this letter is actually something that planning staff can already provide. You don't need a letter signed by the committee to request this. I want to reduce that kind of need for our committee members, so we can work on this with her. And if there's like any other topic within the committee, up to 2 people working on this topic, on this business item. If you want more, it can be up to 4, but you have to create the permitted interaction group. And I don't think that's the route to go with this topic. I think this is going to take a lot of research, a lot of communication, and then it sounds like you're going to be wanting to do updates, and we can't do that with the permitted interaction group. So I just want to let the committee know that we have received this letter. I'm sharing this letter out. We'll update you guys and we'll share it out. But let you know that it is received and that we can continue working on Marty. And if there's somebody else that wants to be a part of this conversation also, as we work to, I think at this point, we're just fact finding and then moving forward from there. Yeah, no problem. Yep, and
Yeah, I'll just add, Judy had invited me to HPPOA on in Darrow. So we'll be meeting from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'm running September 20th. I'm running in a 10K trail run, so I might need to sit down for the duration of the meeting, but I'll be there. You've asked us to present on how the planning department is responding to complaints that have been filed regarding double duplexes. So the planning department will share how it processes these complaints, the timing of the notice of violation, because the code does prescribe these are the actions, and then this is the time frame in which the property owner, the alleged violator, has time to respond and either pay the fines or resolve the issue. So he'll share all of that. I've also asked him to just give an overview of different planning director memos that may have been like the cause of this. I won't elaborate anymore. I want Director Darrow to be able to do that. And then as a community, weighing the costs and the benefits of these director memos that were not issued by Jeff, but previous directors. And we as a community have a lot to grapple with, right? On the one hand, there's a need for more housing. On the other hand, there's a need to ensure that there's a proper infrastructure in place for that housing. So we have to work through these very contentious kind of topics and move forward together. So we'll be presenting on that. We'll also be presenting on the draft general plan that's being proposed, GP 2045 draft 2. It's currently in my committee. Folks have a lot of questions about maps and what all of that means. So come check us out. September 20th, 2 p.m., HPPOA Community Center. Thank you. We are Hawaii County Council members, so we are acting in the interest of all residents of Hawaii County. I don't care if you're living in District 3 or 4, I'm going to take care of you. So I will extend the invitation to Fresh because my time on the council is limited. I've got 16 months left, and if there's more work to do, then we're going to need Fresh to keep moving forward. He does have a pretty big chunk of HPP. Yep. I'll invite Fresh. I'll text him right now. Yep.
And if there's a flyer and you want to send it to planning staff, we'll help blast and share it around on our channels also. Back to the committee.
If you could add on the agenda, I'll try to get a letter drafted of support for the, well, one thing for the guidelines, but then the letter of support for the special district. So I guess reviewing that letter by the, I'll make sure you guys have it well in advance also. So those would be 2 agenda items.
Mahalo, Susie. Go ahead. I was just gonna invite our committee members to.
I was emailing with Heather Kimball about funding, and funds are really uncertain right now. Some of the other counties have federal lobbyists, and I think that I'd like to talk to this committee or have the conversation in this committee of generating a letter of support for the county to fund, to have a federal lobbyist for our behalf. I think Maui County has one. What's that?
Of course they do.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, just something to talk about. If we get 1 or 2 big grants, it would pay for the lobbyist, right? So I just wanted to put that out as possible. Yeah, understandably. Yeah. Oh, and then one more thing. What are the chances of you folks getting a secretary, funded for a secretary and for some help? Because I don't know, do we have any authority to?
Currently for planning staff, we actually are expecting to, our previous clerk that we had lost, we're going to be starting recruitment for that position. It will be a temporary position based on federal funds, but that's what we have. So recruitment will go out shortly. It's expected to go out shortly, and then, you know.
Okay, mahalo. If anybody else has any other agenda items they would like to add, you can let us know, or you can email. We have the email, or do I have to read it out? Yeah. You can approach us and we can get the email to you so that you can contact the appropriate people. Yeah, with that, the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 23rd. Location pending. And then we'll move on to announcements. The planning department is currently seeking applicants for the Puna CDP and is requesting assistance to get the word out to interested community members. The application can be found on the mayor's office website. And if any committee members or staff have any other announcements to make, now it's a good time. Anybody in Zoom land? Okay, mahalo. Let's see. If that's it, then I would like to adjourn the meeting. The time is now, kalamai, 6:32 p.m. Okay, mahalo everybody.